Denise Toby Kwashi, Mrs. Administrator in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ms. Ophelia Caldera, National Director for Habitat for Humanity, Trinidad and Tobago, Mrs. Jennifer Masaya, other representatives from the Habitat for Humanity. In the division, it is my privilege to open the launch event today and to formalize this fortuitous partnership between Habitat for Humanity and our division, and by extension, the wider Assembly. Both the division and Habitat for Humanity are community resources that aim to provide safe and affordable home ownership opportunities and housing solutions to low and middle-income families, ultimately enhancing their quality of life and fostering stronger communities. As such, it is better to work together and leverage our strengths towards this common goal than apart. Therefore, it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the launch of the partnership, and I hope that you will join me in wishing the team's continued success in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary, Assemblyman Niall George. At this time, the National Director for Habitat for Humanity, Mrs. Jennifer Masaya, will bring remarks. Let's welcome her with a round of applause. Thank you.
So I was so scared when I first met Assemblyman Pollard. It was a few minutes after they got into, a few months, maybe 2 or 3 months after they'd taken up office. And I'm like, will I ever be able to work with Assemblyman Pollard? I was so scared. Ladies and gentlemen, as I greet you today, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Honorable Farley Augustine, Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utility, Rural Development, Assemblyman Ian Pollard, the guy I was scared of. Assistant Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utility and Rural Development, Assemblyman Niall George. I wasn't sure if Mr. George was part of the scare too. All other secretaries and assistant secretaries in the Tobago House of Assembly. Administrator of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ms. Ophelia Caldera. My colleague from Habitat for Humanity, other members of staff of the division, and our favorite people in the room, members of the media, all other friends. Greetings. I just want to say that moving from that scare, I stand today to tell you he has become my favorite person to work with in Tobago. Sorry, Chief Sec. Sorry, Chief Sec. He's a man of action. Both Chief Sec and Assemblyman Pollard said to me, we're going to start this project before December. And of course, nothing really happens. I've been here 18 years in Trinidad and Tobago. Nothing happens in December, so I'm not so sure I quite believed him. But I stand here on the launch of a very fantastic partnership. I think we need to give Assemblyman Pollard a very warm, loud round of applause. I know Chief Sec was at the helm of the decision, and so I want to say from Habitat for Humanity, our sincerest thanks for the opportunity of serving the people of Tobago through your leadership. It brings us an immense sense of pleasure as we think of the families in Tobago that needs our partnership. It's really not about us. It's about helping the families on the screen who they visited only yesterday. It's about helping families that are vulnerable, and without the partnership, perhaps they will continue to live in the squalor of poverty housing, indecent housing, inadequate housing, unsafe housing. As Habitat has championed our call to making communities resilient, as we have championed the cause under the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we are the organization that caused sustainable cities and sustainable communities to be on the SDGs. So globally, we feel very proud of putting that statement there that every government has signed on to make our communities resilient and sustainable and make our cities sustainable and resilient. But to put it into action, we need partnerships. And so today, as we launch the pilot, it's action on the ground. It started with visits, and it's going to end with people having keys, people understanding that when the rain is falling, it will not wet them in the beds, that they will have proper roofs on their houses, that we will lead a strategy that will help with mitigation, but beyond that, that we will build the capacities of our community in such a powerful way that even the youngster that is coming up that says, I want to do construction, that we make sure we enhance their capacities, all the way from blueprint reading to fabrication of roofs. That's what this partnership will bring. The partnership will bring that every Tobagonian, by the time I see you this time next year, every house will have a grab-and-go bag, or at least the knowledge on how to create a grab-and-go bag. So if perchance God decides that his nationality is no longer Tobago, we're going to be prepared. But I doubt he will ever do that. This is too much of a great island for him to give up on you. Also, I know it's a praying island, so I know God will not give up on Tobago, but we still need to be prepared. And so in our preparedness strategy, we want to make sure everybody understands that you need to be prepared and how you need to be prepared. We want to make sure that our coastal communities, at least 3 of those communities, will be resilient. And how they will be resilient, we are bringing to this partnership a very exciting, super exciting project that will have an interactive dashboard that the community will be trained on how to monitor their resiliency and how to mitigate against any impending disasters and hazards. And that is going to be something that we've never had before. And we start not only with the Caribbean islands, but we start with Tobago. And so I am so proud to say that. We've been in Trinidad since 1997. And we've been doing this and that and many things. We've served over 59,000 families with various kinds of solutions. We have served less than 1,000 persons in Tobago. And so we want to make sure Tobago is under attack from Habitat in a positive way. And so, thank you. We want to make sure that in the partnership, we will be looking at retrofitting houses based on Habitat for Humanity International resiliency standards and disaster mitigation standards. We would want to do roof retrofitting. What on earth is that, Jennifer? It is about making sure that our roofs have hurricane straps. It's about making sure that the people in the community understand when you build houses, ring beams are necessary, and the roofs need to be tied to the ring beams. And when you're building your foundations, you need to make sure it's strong. You need to make sure you're not cutting down the hillsides without putting up retaining walls. And so we want to make sure our community is armed with that knowledge. And so beyond roof retrofitting is to make sure our communities understand resiliency in very powerful ways, but in community language. So we're not going to come with a lot of engineering kind of talk to them. It's going to be maps drawn and pictures, you know, talking under the tree with the people. This is wrong if you've already built. We will want to present to Tobago in a very big way our vulnerability mapping, community vulnerability mapping and assessment exercises so that the community develop, one, an action plan for themselves, dictating short, medium, and long-term strategies to build their own resiliencies. Then they will say to us, these are the projects that will make us resilient. I had the honor of standing next to Assemblyman Clark a few minutes ago and cutting the ribbon of the Lowlands Community Greenhouse. That's what the community wanted, to make them sustainable. So that's what we gave them. And that's what we want to do for some of our other communities. A few months ago, we had the honor of doing that with Assemblyman Baines, and we did that in Bethel. Don't have any more greenhouses right now. We want to do houses, we want to do coastal communities. But I challenge Republic Bank. They were the donors today, and the media is here listening. I challenge Republic Bank, let's go, more greenhouses for our communities. We want to make sure that as we position Tobago for resiliency and position Tobago and our communities for sustainability, that it remains strong. Strong in terms of what the project will be rolling out as we go forward, and making sure that in the process, even our children understand disaster resiliency. So I understand Secretary for Education is going to be a powerful partner with us. You're going to be the second powerful partner. Secretary Pollard will always have the cake. We're going to be making sure that at the student and the primary school level, the children understand resiliency in their language, so they can draw what is a safe house and what is an unsafe house. And if in their little mind understand, by the time they get to owning their own houses, they will know what to do and not to do. They will be that. They will be the consultants in their communities, because trust me, when the children get it strong, they tell you. And so we want to influence their minds on disaster and disaster resiliency and how to prepare for these things. That our little island, best island on this planet, will be strong and resilient. I thank you, Chief Sec, for this partnership. We couldn't do it without you. And I thank you, Senors Pollard and George, for your partnership. It has been a blessing. The journey has been great. And I look forward to even more greater things. Thank you very much.
With a round of applause.
A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I must first state, Ms. Messiah, this serious demeanor is only to protect my younger colleagues in politics, like my Chief Secretary and my other members, so that nobody thinks that he's a pushover or this team is a pushover. So beyond this mean demeanor, it's a soft, gentle giant. Okay. Chief Secretary, the Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine, Assistant Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, my colleague, and my sidekick, Secretary Niall George, Assistant Secretary Niall George, other secretaries in attendance, the Administrator of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ms. Ophelia Caldera, the National Director for Humanity, Habitat for Humanity, Ms. Messiah, other representative of Habitat for Humanity, staff of the division, members of the media, and the viewing public, good afternoon. This is really a joyous moment for me. As Ms. Messiah said, and the chief and my team know, I like to do things. God has given me 70 years, and I'm very close to that. So I don't have much time to waste, so I want to do whatever I have to do as quickly for the benefit of the people of my island and my country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to launch this noteworthy partnership between Habitat for Humanity and the Tobago House of Assembly. I always take the opportunity to reiterate to the public that the mandate of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development was being realigned to focus on equitable delivery of our development programs towards building greater social and economic resilience. Moreover, that this administration continues to pursue a multi-pronged approach to achieving these objectives and mitigating the ongoing infrastructure deficit by increasing opportunities for citizens and restoring parity across the island. One of the 4 underlying principles of this strategic mandate is community engagement and empowerment. And in this collaboration with Habitat TT, supports our focus on building communities and not just developments by establishing an operating framework for assistance to vulnerable persons towards more resilient communities. Further, the partnership not only enhances our resource capabilities financially and technically, but also broadens our reach, which can only redound to the benefit of potential beneficiaries and the wider Tobago public. Under the umbrella of this arrangement, several initiatives targeting disaster mitigation, such as minor and emergency repair and reconstruction assistance grants, as well as community micro-projects and training programs, will be implemented. However, our first initiative will focus on resilient roofing and floor repairs, which will impact at least 40 families. You see, the Tobago House of Assembly would match whatever Habitat for Humanity is doing. That was the commitment given by the Chief Secretary. So we intend to touch families all across Tobago to bring whatever assistance they need. Other projects are as follows: the implementation of participatory approach to safe shelter awareness PASA with rural communities. This initiative will facilitate the development of community action plans, which will identify priority projects and provide communities with the necessary support to successfully implement these plans, such as funding, training, and capacity development. 2, building resilience to climate change in 3 coastal communities, as Ms. Messiah just said. By utilizing index use and GIS mapping, we will identify areas susceptible to disaster to work towards transforming these communities. This includes implementing measures to mitigate risk and enhance preparedness, ensuring these vulnerable areas' safety and sustainability. Well, Mason, we are not to worry about that, but we have no sea. 3, the promotion of rainwater harvesting and solar lighting initiative with rural communities. With the aim of conserving water resources, we will introduce and support the adoption of rainwater harvesting system. This will contribute to sustainable water management and provide communities with alternative source of water. The team is already visiting vulnerable coastal communities to identify 5 houses for retrofitting to accommodate both solar system and rainwater harvesting. Lastly, in continued support of the pressing need for affordable housing solution, our 5th project will provide low-cost option for low-income earners by improving living conditions and overall standards of living. We strive to uplift individuals and families in need, creating a more inclusive and thriving society. Just yesterday, the team visited houses in Bagatelle, Lambo, and Blackrock, assessing for repair of roofs, flooring, and even the rebuilding of new structures by the division. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw some of the pictures only this afternoon of the communities that the team visited yesterday. And I had a brief discussion with Secretary Orr just before we started. And when we were in Jamaica, when we saw the conditions, we said that there's no place in Tobago has conditions like this. And to know what I'm seeing there, Chief Secretary, we need about $20 million for settlements. Not just 20 million, because it is really, really, it's mind-boggling to see what is out there. But we have the desire, we have the assistance, we have persons with the passion. I must publicly say that the enthusiasm I'm receiving from my new administrator will only bode well, because she has a vision for young people and homes. And my passion is about delivery to homes to everyone on the island. So I know the team will work together. Ladies and gentlemen, these projects represent our commitment to sustainable development and community empowerment. Through collaboration, innovation, and strategic intervention, the Assembly and Habitat TT aspire to build resilient, environment-conscious, and socially inclusive communities in Tobago. with particular emphasis on resilience to climate change and other natural disasters, with the division focused primarily on the housing component. I have no doubt that throughout this partnership and other established relationship with key stakeholders, we can improve accessibility and provide social relief to the people of Tobago and ultimately accelerate delivery of these development projects. Thank you to the team at Habitat TT and at the division for your steadfast work to bring this partnership to fruition, and to the Chief Secretary for your unwavering support. Chief Secretary, I still will make a plug, and I would like to let the island know that the division is working assiduously to make sure we have, the Chief will expound on it, and available parcels of lands in old developments that will be we hope to distribute before Christmas. We are hoping to construct some affordable homes before Christmas, and even some units in developments that we hope that will be given out before Christmas. So we intend to bring joy to at least 60 residents, during Joy to the Heart, up to 60 residents before Christmas. And that's only the start of our housing initiative. I thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Assemblyman Ian Pollard, for your remarks. So we'll break from the speeches for a short while, as we'll have a musical interlude at this time by pianist Kirsch Ramsey. Thank you, Kush. Now, to create the greatest little island on the planet, there must be foresight, right? Yes, indeed. So, Honorable Fali August foresight to ensure that prepares, most importantly, for climate change by facilitating this collaboration between Habitat for Humanity and the Tobago House of Assembly. Of course, that the people of Tobago create living conditions as they carve out the greatest island on the planet. So coming now to deliver the feature address, ladies and gentlemen, our Chief Secretary of Tobago, Honorable Fali Chavez Augustin. Please kindly stand as we welcome him.
Thank you. You may have seats. You know, today was supposed to be a perfect day for cricket. The Dream 11 started today, but with the kind of weather we have, there's only one thing that can happen with rain is cricket. Everything else is a go except cricket. But allow me to welcome all of you here and start by saying special good afternoon to the Secretary for the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities, Rural Development, Assemblyman Ian Pollard, and his Assistant Secretary, Niall George, other secretaries and assistant secretaries of the Tobago House of Assembly, Administrator in the Division of Settlements, Ms. Ophelia Caldera, National Director of Humanities, Mrs. Jennifer Messiah. You know, given that your origin is from Guyana, I'm sure no problem saying that Tobago is really the greatest little island on the planet. Because Guyana is not an island, it's a land-based territory. But that represents Habitat for Humanity. Members of the media, good afternoon. I will not be very long in my today because a lot of the details were by Secretary Pollard, but I will restate some of it for emphasis afternoon. Earlier this year, we signed the MOU with Humanity so that we will collaborate on projects and effort in terms of climate resiliency on the island of Tobago. Back then, I spoke to you about what it means to live on an island and more so to live with the sea. And I hope at some point the photographs that those who are present in the audience today see and to look at how our real estate is being threatened by coastal erosion, how rising sea levels, how unpredictable and inclement weather patterns have destroyed properties significantly on the island. And there was all of this. As a matter of fact, there perhaps isn't a day that someone isn't calling, WhatsApping, or putting up a status on Facebook, looking for a retaining wall, and I didn't get it yet. And there is a cost to all of this. There's a cost to the government, there's a cost to family. And so we have to begin to behave as what we call climate change is the new normal. And that the way we once lived, carefree, build anything, anyhow, anywhere, and just survive for generations, that those are gone. And that the likelihood of your home going through 2-3 generations without significant repairs, those days are far gone. And so we have to now teach our people how to construct homes in a way that are much more sustainable, much more suitable to the climatic conditions that we now have to live with and we now have to endure. And so we are happy for this partnership. So far, it has resulted in field work starting yesterday. Field work has allowed the team, combined team between Habitat for Humanity and the THA to go looking at 2 variables. One, looking at homes and shelters that are in really horrible conditions. Some of those photographs are quite harrowing when you look at how people live. And I thought, grow poor, but looking at these photographs made me realize how privileged I was in how I was raised, because the living conditions of some of our residents, some of our citizens, are really just untenable. It's one of the reasons the Home Ownership Made Equal program was started. And that's an initiative where we build home for the destitute, build home for those who cannot afford perhaps even a box, because those are the most vulnerable. Noted in the budget presentation by the Minister of Finance. But more than that, I've seen where the central government is doing a program in Trinidad, similar in different name, value at $200 million. Building homes for people in this category who really cannot afford anything for themselves. So far, for the pilot for that project for us in Tobago, we have done 2 homes. The much talked one down at Milford Court, and we subsequently retrofitted a second home, which was an old government quarters, to take care of a family of 8 orphan children, a grandmother with 8 orphan children. Looking to pass ahead. The second aim of the field visits that started yesterday was also look at disaster risk reduction and look at what is happening in our communities. And we have seen in areas like Black Rock and seeing what's happening along the coastline, as well as areas going windward to Tobago. Tomorrow, I believe, in Charlottesville. On the weekend, they're in Castara, and on that northern side of the island. Partnership will also see us look at a vigorous roof retrofitting program that was brought by the Director for Humanity, getting you to strap those roofs down into beams and into the walls of the building so that they're much more hurricane proof. And yes, often like think that God is resident, that his ID card look like yours, that he swears allegiance to red, white, and black. Sometimes happen. And sometimes God allows disaster to happen to teach us some lessons in life. Let us prepare for any event whatsoever. And though we may be on the belt for the most part, this island experiences something called Hurricane Flora. Island have near brushes with Van and other storms. And even when those are not happening, the level rainfall last year was so much that we just were overwhelmed and the state system was overwhelmed. This year we got the complete opposite. Sun evermore during the dry season. Now that we are wondering whether our aquifers have sufficient water for the dry season that is upon us. The community vulnerability mapping, also quite important. It allows us to know beforehand which community is most vulnerable and what areas in the communities are most vulnerable. But we can't stop at the vulnerability mapping. We have to get to the place where when we tell you as a resident that where you're living is vulnerable and that you need to get out, and we make provisions for you to get out, that you do get out. We do have circumstances now where people have refused the help, refused to move, or they say they move and they're trying to rent where the government give them a place while staying in the old place, or they leave some family members behind, move on, and then another disaster strikes upon the same property. The purpose of the vulnerability mapping is to one, tell us exactly what sort of resilience systems we need for those properties in those vulnerable areas, but it's all to tell us if where you're living just does not make sense in 2 contexts: sense as in ability, and sense as in dollars and cents, that you move. Because in some areas, building wall might be the cost of 2 homes. And if the building retaining wall is equivalent to building 2 homes, you have to build 2 homes and put 2 families in 2 homes and save on that money from the retaining wall. And that sort of cost-benefit analysis is always done when we are trying to help families. It's at this juncture a good time to indicate that this initial project, as envisioned by Habitat for Humanity, they are prepared to put into this project $1,445,000. I thought the director would have given $1.4 million from Habitat for Humanity for this program. And I wish to use this platform to say that the THA will match that dollar for dollar so that the project can go a much longer way in helping. The kind of part we do in Tobago is one where we come 50-50, right? We know about good relationship with them. For those of us who are married, you know what it means to go 50-50. Although as men, it's almost always 80-20 than 50-50. But as it should be. But we'll do 50, we will match it so that more families. For the Home Ownership Made Equal program, the allocation in the budget was $3 million. And we are intent on taking it to $5 million. So it is $2 million more than what was allocated in the budget. I know you're hoping it could be 20 million, but as funds are available, we will see how much we can do. Every drop counts. And so even with this program, let me employ the secretary and assistant secretary and the administrator, the division, that even in this program where we are trying to build homes for those who are absolutely destitute among us, let us try to find a way to have cost savings. Let us see how we can these homes in a more economical manner while being strong enough to withstand climate changes. Because we have to stretch the dollar as far as is possible. And yet, for those getting the help, it may not be luxury, but there's nothing better than a roof over your head. There is no feeling more comfortable than knowing the rain is pouring outside and it's not pouring inside as well. You know, even when you leave home, I don't know if you have experienced you leave home and you are in very good accommodation somewhere else, that there's just nothing that compensates for your own home, own bed, that peace of safety, that security. That's what we want to give in the Home Made Equal program. We want you to know and to be able to know that a home is not just a house. A home provides stability. A home provides security. A home provides children can do homework safely. A home provides a learning environment where there isn't chaos, where you're not competing with the elements outside. A home means that your children that might now be vulnerable to predators outside because there are holes in the walls and there are breaches in the homes, those things are no more. A home means that your children have a sense of pride, of a place that they can come home to, a place that they can bring the friends across and they can play in the yard and so on. All of these things come with a home. There's a whole length of social benefits to be gained from having a home that is of value. And that's what we want to give to Tobagonians. It will be remiss of me to not tag on to Secretary Pollard's commitment that there be some housing lots available to the island in time for Christmas. I think at the last count, they're able to 62. My challenge to the division is to find 38 more. And let's see if we could get it to 100 pieces for Christmas. So you might have land. You might have to make some land, but I understand that you're at 62 in terms of the number of pieces you have available. And at a later date, Tobago, an announcement will be made in terms of the allocation of of these lots. And even as we had our November meeting yesterday, one of the things we discussed is whether or not the system by which we allocate property to who have registered really the fairest system. At this moment, it's a lottery system. But what the lottery system says is you could come last and become first. And you could be waiting for donkey years and your name will never call. The system is no different than what happens when you try to chase the 17 or however much million I think the lotto is right now, and you ain't winning it at all. Or when you hear it win, you ain't seeing the winner, but you just hear it win. That's what a lottery system is chance. And one of the part of the discussion in that November meeting yesterday was to ask ourselves, is that the fairest method? Is there a way we could target those who are in the system the longest, who have applied the longest to get some of the benefit? Is there a way we could target single mothers, those that are most vulnerable, those that are actually most in need of the property? Because we all know somebody who get through, who really and truly could have just go to the market and buy a house, right? We all know it, but a lottery system will favor anybody. The chances are equal, everybody. It might be equity, but not justice. And what we need is a justified system whereby, a just system whereby those who are there the longest, those who are most vulnerable, they get a bite of the cherry first, so that we can give them the hands up. That we look forward to this partnership. Housing is a priority for this government. Tobago, I believe, for the longest while, had a housing crisis, and we are about to see that crisis, a housing crisis whereby incredibly difficult for people, for our young people to have access to get the loans. The average cost of a home is higher than elsewhere in the country, when most other places in the country on average. At my last check, the average in Tobago is about $1.5 million, while the average elsewhere might be about 1.3 or a little lower than that. And of course, to qualify for a loan of that amount, you need to have a salary of around $25,000. So if you check around the island, you know, few people get to that place where they're able to secure the loan, also get their down payment ready and all of those things. And so we are working through this challenge so that we can ensure that our people have access to safe, comfortable homes. And I'll say this one thing before I leave, as I see Assemblyman Panton here, because I understand you all went through her district yesterday and were shocked, mortified, flabbergasted, blown out. that right at the outskirts, Scarborough, right in the vicinity, we had such horrible levels of, in terms of quality of homes for people. And it shows that across the island, it's not a country thing where country homes are bad. It's not just where people are in some back place or remote place, but might very well be a challenge across the island. How it's with our stock. Please remember the of Hurricane Flora. I don't believe my parents were even there to conceptualize me at that time. So I was not even a thought. However, when you look later, Tobago's increase, our housing stock was wiped out significantly. We do not to be our story a second time around. All it takes is natural disaster. And so if our homes are not built properly, if they're not secured properly, one disaster and it will set us back 100 years. We have made too many gains to lose it all in one night of storms or one heavy rainfall. So let's do what is necessary to make our homes safer, let's reach out to our neighbors and ensure that our neighbors are just as secure as we are. Let us remember that when you see your neighbor getting through, don't cuss and whine, don't wonder how them get through and you get. Just know that the blessing is in the neighborhood and might be at your doorsteps soon. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Secretary Honorable Augustine, for your address and for the program. So as we wrap up this afternoon's program, ladies and gentlemen, we end once again panel Kirsch Ramsey. Take this time to thank you all for being here for the rollout of this project by Habitat for Humanity and Tobago and House of Assembly. To enjoy the remainder of your afternoon, to enjoy the sounds from one of our extremely talented panelists here in Tobago, Mr. Kirsch Ramsey. Can we welcome a round of applause?